So I know I said in my last writing update for my latest novel, TakeAChance, like my writing update like video, that I said I was probably not going to release these updates in video format, and again, I'm gonna stick to just posting them as blog posts and like Instagram posts and stuff. But you know what? I decided I think I'm going to break my own rules here and share them in video format as well. So in this latest writing update, I'm basically reflecting on what the writing process of chapter 10 was like. I think I might want to maybe do one for chapter 11 because, believe it or not, even though I haven't written personally anything for this novel since late March of this year, I have been so inspired to write again recently that I have literally surprised myself by writing not just one but 2 full chapters over the span of 2 days, or I guess more like 2 nights, because I've surprisingly had like a lot of energy to write like during the night. Then again, that's typically how it has been for me as a writer. Either I will write like in the morning, during the day, or at night. Yeah, and so this post is basically going to be me reflecting on chapter 10 of TakeAChance. And so I hope you enjoy. So this post is titled, "My writing session took an interesting turn last night. TakeAChance writing update, chapter 10. I'm currently sitting in Starbucks at 9:16 a.m. as I write this. Shocker, I know, but I wanted to share a quick writing update on my latest novel, TakeAChance. While I haven't worked on the novel since late March, I found myself feeling very inspired by the books and movies I've been watching and reading recently. Specifically, my current read of Christine Ricciot's new book, 30, Flirty, and Forever Alone, and the fact that I recently watched the first Devil Wears Prada movie for the very first time a few weeks ago. Oh, and a quick side note, in case anyone watching this or reading the version on my blog doesn't know who Christine Riccio is, she is like one of my all-time favorite booktubers. I discovered her back in like, I want to say it was like late 2014. Sorry, I meant, oh my god, late 2013, early 2014. I was in like 8th grade. Booktube was like my entire life so Christine Riccio is essentially a YouTuber turned podcaster turned author. She runs a podcast with her best friend, Natasha Polis, called Those Forking Fangirls, that I really enjoy because, like, the podcast episode, they're chatting about books, movies, TV, pop culture, and like how they integrate into their adult lives. It's good. Then again, I'm really biased because I like her. But yeah, so moving on. I oftentimes get creatively inspired whenever I watch or read something that reminds me of or ignites ideas for whatever specific writing project I'm working on, and I love whenever this happens. The point is that I've genuinely felt inspired to work on TakeAChance again, and every time I write new material for it, I'm reminded just how much I absolutely love this book. The characters of Felicity and Jonathan and their story have my entire heart. I just love it so much. Then again, like, I practically say that about like every book I write, so it's whatever. Anyways, I successfully wrote chapter 10 last night, and I was surprised by the fact that it turned into a completely different chapter than the one I initially set out to write. I'm not going too much into it, but chapter 10 is and was supposed to be the chapter where Felicity gets promoted at her job, but this new version of chapter 10 threw a wrench into my plans, and I've decided to move the job promotion sequence of events to chapter 11 instead. But I'm not mad about it, because I genuinely really love how chapter 10 turned out, even though it's still just a first draft. Not to spoil it, but this new version of chapter 10 has now become more flirtatious long-distance relationship banter between Felicity and Jonathan via a phone call scene that I really enjoy. This chapter also covers more adult things as well because, spoiler alert, like, this book is, like, adult contemporary romance, so, like, I'm obviously gonna write about, like, adult themes that, are not meant for, kids, or, I mean, I'd be fine if teenagers of a certain age read this book, but, yeah, I mean, it's not, like, explicit, like, sex or anything, but it does deal with some adult themes, so, yeah, moving on. I've also made the executive decision to officially include chapter titles in this novel, with chapter 10 currently being titled Smooth Talker, and chapter 11 being titled The Promotion I Didn't See Coming. And now I bet you're wondering what music I listened to during last night's writing session. It's honestly a combination of One Direction, a lot of Death Cab for Cutie, a band whose music I'm rediscovering again after accidentally but genuinely becoming a fan back when I was 14, fully knowing they've been around since 1996, and a bit of Sheryl Crow. Oh, and then I guess, like, on this side note, with my, I guess, like, accidental, obsession with Death Cab for Cutie's music, screw it, I'm gonna go on a tangent. So, the reason I actually ended up becoming a fan was completely by accident. So, I have an iPhone, like, iOS device, right, and at the time, I was part of family sharing, and I think the account was under, like, my dad or my mom, I can't remember what, but, basically where, like, you had access to all the music and, like, podcasts or whatever that, people in, like, under that account had, like, purchased and stuff. And I can't remember if it was, like, my mom or my dad, but, they had a few of Death Cab for Cutie's albums, like, downloaded, and I was, like, 14. I got really curious one day, and, oh my god, the first album by them that I listened to was, I think it was their 2011 album, Codes and Keys, and, like, I got so curious that, like, the second I heard the first, song of that album, which I think is, the song Home is a Fire, like, I literally was, like, so obsessed. I don't know how else to describe it. I was like, wait, I actually kind of really love their music. What the fuck? And so, yeah. And then from there, I listened to, I think it was released in 2005, but they have another album called Plans. And then I also listened to, I think it's called Narrow Stairs or Narrow Staircase or something, their album that came out, I want to say in, like, 2008 or whatever. And oh my god, I listened to those albums, like, practically on, like, repeat, and I was like, wait, I really like their music. But again, even though, like, I'm biased, like, I like their stuff, they were one of those bands where, like, I don't know if you've ever done that thing where you discover a band or, like, an artist for the first time, you get into a phase where you're really into their music, and then you kind of just, like, forget they exist, whether it's for, like, months or years, and then you suddenly remember who they are again, and then you're like, oh, I haven't heard blah 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 song and, or blah 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 band in forever. And that's been me with rediscovering Death Cab for Cutie's music. And yes, they are still around today. It's hard to believe, like, they've been around for longer than I've been alive. Oh my god, that's so crazy. But yeah, they've been around since 1996. I actually don't really know much about the origin story. But yeah, okay, so that's my little rant about how I became a fan. of Death Cab for Cutie. Okay, and then now moving on to the blog post where I talk about Sheryl Crow. The Sheryl Crow song I listened to during my reading session was The First Cut is the Deepest, which I heard for the first time, or I'm pretty sure it was the first time, when watching Netflix's limited series, Firefly Lane, which I absolutely loved, but that's a story for another day. I cried so hard at specific parts. I'm not gonna get into it, obviously. I don't want to spoil, but oh my god, that show is so good. It's phenomenal. I'm one of those writers who fluctuates between being able to write music with lyrics in them for some writing sessions, whereas for other sessions, I need to listen to music without lyrics in them. Primarily because I can find music with lyrics in them distracting when I'm trying to get into a flow state or writing zone. It just depends on my mood and what type of music genuinely works for me during a writing session. Listening to One Direction, Death Cab for Cutie, and Sheryl Crow genuinely helped me lock into my writing session last night, and I loved how influential my music choice was in helping me channel the emotions and plot points that are currently in Chapter 10. I'm someone who has a very deep emotional connection to music that's ironically very hard to articulate exactly why music has such a profound effect on me, but that's just how I'm wired, I guess. What's also funny is that, since this book takes place in 2016, and will eventually take place in 2017 in later sequences chapters, I'm repeatedly having to stop myself from making references to things that occurred in the years following. I essentially have to stop myself from referencing aspects of pop culture that take place currently, 2026, and even a few years previously, etc., so that the story remains accurate to the time period I'm writing in. For example, Chapter 10 features a scene where Felicity throws an episode of her favorite show on the TV while she orders dinner after returning home to Boston from her sister's wedding in Philadelphia. I almost wrote that she puts on an episode of the Netflix show Emily in Paris before changing it to How I Met Your Mother instead, after remembering, oh wait, Emily in Paris didn't exist in 2016, but How I Met Your Mother did, seeing as that show officially concluded in 2014. Side note, I really hated how they ended that show. And I know I'm not the only one who thinks this, but yeah. Both of those are TV shows I really like, which is why I wanted to reference at least one of them in the book. Overall, I'm overjoyed to be writing this story again, and now that I've regained momentum, all I want to do is write more chapters of Take a Chance. I'm so in love with this book and the themes it explores that I really want and hope that people read it one day. I'm being serious. I genuinely think Take a Chance needs to be the next book I publish after almost 12 years of not releasing another book into the world. Imagine Take a Chance coming to a bookstore near you, or taking up much needed space on your bookshelf, or my ultimate dream, becoming an audiobook or a movie or miniseries. The thought genuinely makes me so happy. Anyway, that's my writing update. Thanks for reading. Or in this case, since this is the audio version, thanks for watching or listening.